All right, let's talk about a skill every single Python developer needs, handling files. But we're not just going to cover the basics today. We're going to look at how to take your code from something that just works to something that's truly professional and ready for the real world.
Think about it. In almost any app you build, you're dealing with files. Logs, configuration, user data, it's everywhere. Getting this right is what separates a fragile script from a rock-solid, reliable application. So let's make your code great.
First things first, let's talk about the #1 most important rule of handling files in Python. You've got to use the with statement. It's the gold standard and for a very, very good reason.
And the difference is, well, it's night and day. Just look at this. On the left, you've got the old manual way, where you have to open the file and this is the important part, you have to remember to close it. On the right, though, that's the pro way. It's cleaner, it's simpler, and it handles all the cleanup for you automatically.
So why is this such a big deal? Well, the with statement guarantees that your file gets closed even if your code hits an error. And that little guarantee prevents all sorts of nasty problems, like memory leaks or even corrupting the file you are working on. It's not just about saving a line of code, it's about writing fundamentally safer, more reliable software.
Okay, we've got the golden rule down. Now let's tackle the most common type of file you'll ever encounter, the simple text file. But we're going to go beyond just opening and reading. We'll see how to handle them like a pro, especially when things get big.
And here's a classic mistake a lot of us make when we're starting out. On the left, using .read tries to load the entire file into your computer's memory. Now, if that's a small config file, no problem. But what if it's a multi-gigabyte log file? You're going to crash your program, guaranteed. The best practice, on the right, is to process the file line by line. It's way more memory efficient and the only sane way to handle large files.
Oh, and here's a pro tip that will save you from so many headaches down the road. Always specify the encoding. UTF-8 is pretty much the universal standard today. If you forget this, the moment your code sees a special character or text from another language, you're going to get some really weird, hard-to-debug errors. Just make it a habit.
All right, moving on to structured data. CSV files are everywhere, right? From data science to business reports. But they come with a very, very common trap, and we're going to learn exactly how to avoid it. This looks so simple and so tempting, doesn't it? Just grab a line from the file and split it by the comma. And you know what? For super simple data, it might even seem like it's working. But trust me, this approach is a ticking time bomb.
And here's the explosion. What happens when your data has a comma inside one of the values, like London, UK? Well, your simple split call is going to get it wrong. It'll split that city into 2 separate pieces, and suddenly all your data is misaligned and completely useless. That's why the manual way is so dangerous.
So, what do? We use the right tool for the job. Python comes with a fantastic built-in CSV module that was designed specifically for this. It's smart. It understands things like quoted fields, commas inside your data, and all those other tricky edge cases, so you don't even have to think about them. So now we know what tool to use. Let's level up again and see how to use it to write code that isn't just correct, but is also super efficient, easy to read, and safe. This is the Professionals Toolkit.
Now this is a total game changer for readable code. Instead of accessing data with a clunky index like row 0, DictReader lets you use the actual column headers as keys, like row name. Your code instantly makes more sense. And the same idea works for writing files too. With csv.DictReader, you can write data from a list of dictionaries, and it makes sure your headers and data always line up perfectly.
So what's happening under the hood? It's actually pretty brilliant. DictReader takes each row, which is just a list of strings, and it uses the header row to intelligently map it into a dictionary. It turns this abstract list of data into a meaningful structure that's so much easier to work with.
Here's another mark of a pro. Professional code doesn't just crash. It anticipates problems and handles them gracefully. What happens if the file you're trying to open just isn't there? Wrapping your file operations in a try-except block is your safety net. It catches that file not found error and lets you handle it, making your application robust and user-friendly instead of just broken.
Okay, that was a lot, so let's pull it all together. We're going to create a final, code-ready checklist to make sure all these best practices really stick.
First, a quick decision guide. When should you use a plain TXT file versus a CSV? Simple. Use text files for unstructured stuff, logs, notes, config files. But the moment you have data that fits into rows and columns, anything that would look at home in a spreadsheet, CSV is absolutely the way to go.
And here it is, your final checklist of things to avoid. Don't forget the with statement. Don't you dare parse CSVs with .split comma. Never load a huge file into memory all at once. And a couple of final tips. When you're writing a CSV file, always specify your UTF-8 encoding and remember to add new line equals empty. That little trick prevents weird blank rows from appearing in your output file. Nail these, and your code will be in fantastic shape.
So there you have it, a professional toolkit for handling two of the most common file formats out there. You've got the tools, you know the techniques, the only real question left is what are you going to build with it? What data story are you ready to tell? Thanks for joining me.